Well, and it's usually three. Yeah, so the end is the sun.
Good evening and welcome to the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education regular meeting for Has this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it has.
Would you please call the roll?
Carlin?
Here.
Eliason? Evans?
Here.
Garner?
Here.
Herzog?
Here.
Olmsted?
Here.
Peschel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. This evening we have 3 students who are joining us to lead us in the pledge. So I'd like to welcome Maggie Dobbins, Holly Dobbins, and Maddie Gunkel to come forward.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank those 3 ladies for joining us tonight and their parents for making that possible. You're welcome to stay for the entire meeting, but if you have other things you'd like to do on this beautiful... That's good. All right.
Didn't take much convincing, did it?
No, it didn't. Okay, well, we will move on to board and administrative reports, starting with the board president report. I just have 2 quick, actually more announcements than a report. I had the honor and privilege recently to represent our board at the Badger Girls State leadership event held at UW Oshkosh, representing, there were 700 plus girls representing over 400 school districts in the state, and what a thrill to look out over those young ladies and see the potential there for not only them, but those they represent for future leadership for our state. And that was really an honor to be able to speak with them about the role of school boards. And then I also had the opportunity to represent this board at the CESA 6 Board of Control last week, where they did their annual reorganization meeting, much as we do ours, where we elect officers and get updates from Ted Knightsky on what's happening in the CESA region. And they've done very well financially with CESA 6, and eventually the hope will be to be able to return funds to school districts representing the cooperative, which is the C in cooperative, the C in CESA. So those are my only 2 report items. So moving on, we have the superintendent's report with Stan Mack.
Yes, thank you, President Herzog. And this evening have a number of issues, and then near the end, we have with our new superintendent joining me, with Vicki joining us in sharing activities we did just yesterday together out in the community. This evening we celebrate a number of events. 12 OASD educators kicked off their summer by attending the 2-day Spark Conference and initiatives in education, ranging from digital education to the Maker Movement. 2 teams members presented on personalized professional development. This is again a effort on our staff in professional growth. Congratulations to the Oshkosh West High School boys tennis team, who are pictured here, and for qualifying as a team to compete in the WIAA State Boys Tennis Tournament in Madison. This is only the second time in school history that has occurred as a team effort. Webster Stanley Middle School held a fine arts night on May 1st with band, choir, and orchestra students performing and STEM projects on display, and a buy one scholastic book fair was as showcasing that evening. The PTO also held its annual basketball 50-50 raffle that supported the Washington, D.C. trip for National History Day. Lakeside Elementary students have an opportunity to participate in One School, One Book club. Interested students purchased and took the mouse and motorcycle to read this summer. Each week, the question about a book will be posted in the school's Facebook page for families at home for discussion, and for 2 summer meetings as scheduled at Lakeside, where the book will be discussed at the school's library and will be open to check out additional books throughout the summer break. Take a moment to click on this site to view what a wonderful world that first grade students at Washington Elementary School performed at the end of the school year. And here is a list. As we get in the summer, we get a shorter and shorter. We go from sometimes 35 pages to, I think, 8 pages today. Here are some of the meetings and events that the superintendent took place in the last several weeks. Now I will turn it over to Vicki.
Good evening. So one thing that we would like to highlight is the Books on Wheels project. On the Books on Wheels project, this is something that occurs throughout the summer. As you can see there, we have some dates that are already listed out, as well as the times and the locations of those. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students within the community to be able to go out, interact with volunteer instructional staff, and which is absolutely amazing. So yesterday we had staff that was available from Emmeline Cook Elementary School. Pictured here actually was the daughter of one of the staff members, and then a freshman over at UWO who's coming in and studying to become a teacher. So the activities included not only board games, but also just sitting down and having the opportunity to sit there and read with our students. What a wonderful exposure for them. They can come in, grab a book, take it home with them, come back next week, and exchange it right back out. So just keeping that learning throughout the entire summer and keeping our students engaged. One thing that's not posted up here just yet, but it was something that was of importance for everybody to be aware of, is with the Wisconsin Association of School Business Officials, or WASBO, hired a team from the Oshkosh area school district to present at statewide facilities management conferences, challenging children in your schools. It provides a glimpse of how to handle oppositional behaviors by using trauma-informed care, PBIS, CPI's verbal de-escalation strategies, and culturally responsive practices. A team that went there included Mary Dietrich, who's one of our behavior interventionists, Natalia Wild, which is an MVCI trainer and PST, Dave Ho, our custodian supervisor, and Linda Jones Piron. And it's wonderful because our teaching staff that's participating in this is being paid stipends as well as travel expenses by WASBO. And then lastly, and this one's going to be a surprise to Mr. Mack, we wanted to make sure that Washington Elementary School reached out and really wanted to make sure that we had a very special acknowledgement from them, as well as school district personnel, and thanking Stan Mack for his service and coming to Oshkosh when we really needed a leader that had that unwavering integrity, the passion, and the commitment, and for doing what's right for children and for the community. So Washington Elementary School wanted to make sure that we had a very special send-off for him, and that they recognized him in our report tonight.
Very nice.
Thank you so very much. All the recognition is most appreciated, but it has been my pleasure to be a party to this wonderful community and this wonderful school district for the past 6 years, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It's been a great capstone for me of my career to truly enjoy the relationship with this school community, and to thank this school board as well as your predecessors, two of the members are still on the board that were here 6 years ago, both Allison and Steve being on the board, and when I was selected in the spring of 2012. And I'm thankful to them and to all of their successors that have joined them on the board, and we're very grateful. I'm here this evening. We're in the midst of doing a lot of packing, but my spouse, Margaret Leibfried, has joined us this evening to observe this final event. She does occasionally watch us on television, but this time she is live and in person to observe this board meeting. But thank you so very much for the recognition.
Thank you, Stan. Are there any district administrator supplemental reports tonight? A listening session report? Thank you, Ms. Conrad.
So on June 13th, 2018, we had 2 different groups visit us during listening session. The first group was a surveyor and a parent in the Oshkosh area school district. And they have a very, very unique case where there are 3 lots along the Oshkosh area school district and Amro school district line. And when they were in the process of resurveying their property because they needed to move some things on their property, they found many interesting things. And one being is that in order to fix what they need to fix on their property, we cannot have a school district boundary cannot go through one property area. And if they do the configuration like they want to do it, we would have to change the boundaries between the Oshkosh area school district and the Amro school district. And it is quite complicated. There are many, it might have to go to the legislative level to get this solved for them. And so our follow-up actions, Mr. Mack actually had received the letter, had received information from the surveyor and the family. And so the follow-up actions are, we are going to identify the next steps and rules that this will fall under by working with our legal counsel, because it is going to take legal counsel and possibly legislative action. It's the Malnori family, and the Malnoris and the surveyor will be contacting the Amro School District to share similar information that they did with us at the listening session, and the contact info for the surveyor will be given to the Oshkosh Area School District Legal Counsel to continue to work with them on this. So I didn't know if you wanted to add more, Stan.
I could add to that. Since that meeting, I have had further conversations with Jim Macy and have asked him to activate the necessary steps and provide back to Vicki the necessary steps. He believes that because of this uniqueness, it may be able to be resolved at local level between the 2 school boards. It will not have to go to the extent of to legislative action, but a correction that what is interesting is that this line is part of the craziness of the old farm properties being divided up. The old 40-acre rule, which basically allowed farmers at the time of the closing of common districts to declare which direction they wished to go. When the land was in agricultural land, it was not a problem. When it gets subdivided into residential lots, it becomes a problem when it crosses, as Julie described, into parcels that really don't legally work well. And Jim will get back to Vicki on the next steps that then Vicki can bring to the board as necessary to deal with it. But this should be resolved. It's illogical. I have driven out to look at the piece, and it is a very strange concoction of land. When I first received the notice from them that they were interested in talking to us, but I would expect that it should resolve itself shortly with your approval and that of the Amaro School Board. At the present time, the issue is potential shift of trade land values or trade in land. However, the students in this case are all 4 students are presently students within the Amaro School District already. And so it only makes logical sense that we would find a cooperative way of making this work.
Okay. The next participants in the listening session were 2 two ladies, two parents, two moms, and we discussed recess and lunch at the elementary level. Parents feel that the instructional blocks of time for elementary are very long without recess. Kim Brown and myself explained the implementation of purposeful play with all kindergarten classrooms because we agree that there needs to be time for that. Parents expressed that their children are saying that they are tired of adults telling me what to do. I had to get that quote in there. They want to know how they can help, how we can add more recess, and then discussed lunchroom management, and also that children at times do not feel they have the opportunity to make friends and socialize in an unstructured environment. So what we are going to do is we're going to look further into how recess is scheduled at the elementary level to find out, because these two parents were from two different elementary schools. We have 14 of them. So what does that look like? We're going to find out baseline information, look further into how the lunchroom is managed, and if children really do have enough time to eat, and if we have some process things that we need to address at the elementary level. So more to come on that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Connors.
Thanks, Julie.
Are there any other reports? Any committee reports?
I have facility and finance. Oh, okay.
All right, Mrs. Olmsted?
All right, so Facility and Finance Committee met on June 21st. The first thing we discussed was the Oshkosh Area School District Education Foundation proposal. Kim Brown and Julie Dumpke spoke to the committee regarding the .25 FTE position for the Education Foundation Director. This was originally presented to us back in April by Kim. Julie Dumpke has the past experience in fundraising and reaching out to community members. Currently, Julie works 0.5 for outreach for communities, and then 0.5 FTE as a peer coach. She felt, and they felt, that 0.25 FTE could be freed up in the community staffing. So if we would approve the .25 position in addition to the .25 from the community for Julie, the director position could be a full .5 FTE, which is what we had discussed and kind of wanted to do. Eventually, as the foundation expands, we hoped we would be able to raise that position to a 1.0 FTE. The committee was in agreement to bring the .25 FTE to the board for approval, which is on tonight, which I'm sure you guys all looked at. Julie Dumpke also shared a proposal with the committee regarding the Oshkosh North ADA shower room and washing service. She has found that there's a basic need of showering and washing that is not happening with some students, and constructing this room would be a way to assist in this area. Some students were coming with her and were missing class or getting late to class because of showering needs and clean clothes needs. So that brought her into looking at what she could do for a lot of those students. It also would be used as a life skills class for ID students. The cost of the project would be approximately $15,000. A $7,000 donation is available to support the project, leaving an $8,000 to be funded. Jim Fox indicated that there needs to be some research done on the physical part of that building. Maintenance needs to put the pieces together to make sure that it makes sense. That we're going to look at it and survey the area for drainage and water supply to that to the room. It is noted that the Oshkosh North could partner with St. Vincent de Paul to get various sizes of shirts and pants and clothing, and Dr. Herzog offered to contact them. It was the recommendation of the committee to continue to do the research and then revisit it on the future committee agenda. So after they do some research and look at it, and Jim and his team go in, they'd bring it back to the committee and talk to us about where they're at and what the real dollars would be on that. Then we had a budget variance report from Ms. Schnorr, and there was no questions. We also had an EPCOT update. The state, which I think we talked about it with Chief Smith when they were here on our joint meeting, that the state was awarded a $100 million safety grant to Wisconsin school districts under the Department of Justice. The grant was divided into two categories. There was a primary and an advanced. And you could use the money for just primary and just advanced, and a lot of the primary things we had already, so a big chunk of ours comes from the advanced. The district has applied for funds to install shadow-resistant film through the primary portion of the grant at a cost of $13,380. Though the advanced portion of the grant, the district has applied for training, more glass film, and more of the entrances other than the main doors and the second level of security cameras. A total of $433,000 was requested. There were some revisions made to the grant upon request of the DOJ, and the grant was submitted yesterday. So this would have been the 20th it was submitted, so they'll get back to us soon. Mr. Jones updated the committee on the purchase of the digital radios. The FCC has indicated the need to move from analog radios to digital. Currently, radios in 5 schools have been replaced, but it is a very slow process because the need to also replace district AED units with limited budgeting funds. A decision was made to purchase 250 radios at a cost of $92,000 to replace all the remaining radios in the district. By doing this, this district is completely digital. For every 50 radios purchased, the district receives a free repeater that allows principals and maintenance to communicate across the district, which is awesome, for emergency type situations. The radios were not eligible for the grant because it is considered replacing existing equipment. The budget surplus was used to pay for the radios. And the meeting was adjourned. Our next scheduled meeting is August 20th at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Olmsted. Are there any other committee reports?
I have a report.
Mr. Peschel?
Sure. I have a report of the Policy and Governance meeting that took place on June 14th. The agenda items that we discussed and that we all of these items that we submitted for approval are on tonight's agenda as well. So the agenda items that we discussed was, one was related to student accidents, illnesses, and concussions. There was some wording related to formal training in regards to staff and employees administering first aid based within the limits of their knowledge of recommended practices and the addition of formal training. So, and then secondly, a sub kind of portion of that same policy talked about changes that were made in regards to providing consistency about students returning to sports after experiencing a concussion. So, and most specifically, it was related to those incidents where students had experienced a concussion outside of district events, and making sure that our policies were consistent with any event that would be considered a concussion, that's communicated with through the proper channels. So the next issue, the next policy was the high school co-curricular handbook updates. The most significant change on that is was the issue that arose this last year in regards to children who are competing in high school sports at the state level who are charged with felonies. The wording is now allowed the district to that child, if they were to be charged with a felony, that they could lose the right to participate in athletics and activities and other clubs for the remaining of their high school career in the district. So, and this is kind of considered a proactive change because the WIAA will be suggesting changes similar to this down the line. So, the next policy was the updates to the employee handbook. So, the highlights of that were that unpaid leave can be available at any time to any employee and would be considered for approval. There's no longer a 5-year requirement as there used to be for that time frame to be considered for that leave. Compensatory time will be provided to clerical and custodial employees if pre-approved by their supervisor. Retirement, post-employment benefits are now available at semester or at the end of the year, not just mid-semester. Overtime, the definition of hours worked versus hours scheduled. Hours worked, if holidays fall during a work week and an employee works, they would be paid overtime. Holiday pay would be exempt. Funeral leave, the next couple are adding back to what it used to be. We did some changes over the last, I think it was last year we did this change, and now we're putting it back. And so in regards to funeral leave, if a grandchild were to pass, the employee would be able to take off time for that. If there was sick leave and it was a grandchild, that employee would be able to take off time for that. Other retirement benefits, a vesting schedule was added. The HRA will have the following vested schedule beginning 5 years from the start of the date of the plan. And there was an extension of the changes about retiring at the end of the semester as well as the school year. And then a return to the language of used in the past that a student does not or is not allowed to live with a teacher. So, and the final one was the use of electronic wireless communication devices by district employees who operate board-owned and operated vehicles. Basically, it's students, or not students, employees can't be using their wireless technology in their vehicles if it's a district-owned vehicle. And that was that. Our future agendas are going to be discussing an administrative guideline about a language change about for how vacation is used, and then a statement related to the philosophy of a board around an equity statement. And then our next meeting is August 2nd at 8:30.
Thank you, Mr. Peschel. Are there any other committee reports? Then, moving on, do we have any non-agenda related public forum? Do we have any agenda-related public forum? Moving on to the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. At this time, we will be pulling items 6B, 6C, and 21 and 25. Are there any other items to be pulled? All right. Then the board will consider approval of 1, minutes of May 23rd, 2018, regular board meeting. 2, minutes of May 23rd, 2018, executive session at regular board meeting. 3, minutes of June 13th, 2018, regular board meeting. 4, minutes of June 13th, 2018, executive session at regular board meeting. Number 5, bills payable. Number 6, personnel A, appointments, temporary appointments, resignations, and salary schedule. Number 7, OASD Education Foundation position. Number 8, staffing positions for partnerships, including Arts Corps and School 2 work. Number 9, 2018-2019 Employee Handbook. Number 10, Elementary Behavior Support Plan. Number 11, tentative agreement with Oshkosh Education Association, OEA. Number 12, district level movement for eligible Number 12, district level movement for eligible professional educators. Number 13, tentative agreement with Oshkosh Paraprofessional Educators Association, OPEA. Number 14, one-step movement for eligible Oshkosh paraprofessionals. Number 15, tentative agreement with Non-Teaching Education Association, or NTEA. Number 16, one-step movement for eligible NTEA. Number 17, wage increase for International Association of Theatrical and Stage Employees, also known as IATSE. Number 18, wage increase, one step in longevity movement for eligible food service employees. Number 19, base increase in longevity movement for eligible extracurricular employees. Number 20, administrator and general exempt, non-exempt compensation for 2018-2019. Number 22, early childhood special education piece rental agreement. Number 23, updates to policy 5340, student accidents, illness, concussion. Number 24, updates to policy 8605, use of electronic wireless communication devices by district employees who operate board-owned or operated vehicles. And finally, number 26, superintendent's 2017-18 goal incentive.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, resolution 6B. Be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve the retirement as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
One of the reasons for pulling this report, the primary reason, is to commend teacher Wendy Robinson, who has served as an early childhood integrated teacher assistant since 1989, so almost 30 years. It's a long time. I've had a chance to work with Wendy over the years, and she's really dedicated to those little children and preparing them for moving forward in their education. So we thank Wendy for her dedication to the students and this district and wish her well in retirement. Any other discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 6C, be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve the administrative appointments and salary schedule as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
And I would defer to Dr. Cartwright at this point.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that. So tonight, we actually have two members of the administrative team that you previously approved on May 23rd, and then two members that we're looking for approval for tonight. And so on May 23rd, our first person is going to be Michelle Last. And Michelle Last is currently serving as North High School Assistant Principal from previous approval. But I want to let you know that she comes from the Oshkosh Area School District, where she has served as a math teacher in a middle school for an extended period of time, since 2005. In addition to that, she also served as the teacher leader with the college preparatory math curriculum and has assisted the district for the past 5 years with that. So, Michelle.
All right, welcome.
Welcome. Also on May 23rd, you approved for our Reed Elementary School principal position, and this was Molly Demrow. Molly comes to us from Stevens Point, where she served as principal of Jefferson Elementary School for 4 years. Prior to being an elementary school principal, she taught for 6 years in kindergarten and in second grade. Molly has a Bachelor of Science in Education from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, as well as a Master's of Science in Educational Leadership from the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. And again, Molly is now serving as principal for Reed Elementary School.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
And tonight, I bring forward to you for your approval two candidates. The first candidate is going to be Ryan Peterson. Ryan currently serves as assistant principal at Oshkosh West High School, and previously served as an alternative education teacher in Neenah High School, as well as at Arnold Bancroft Middle and High Schools. Peterson graduated from the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh with a Bachelor of Science in History, and he continued his education at Concordia University, where he received a Master's of Science in Curriculum and Instruction, as well as a Master's of Science in Educational Administration. Ryan is currently pursuing his doctoral degree, and he is up for recommendation as principal for Merrill Middle School. And last but not least, I'm going to introduce to you Belinda Pinkston. Belinda has over 30 years of educational experience. She has spent 12 years as a teacher and then 21 years as a school-based and a district-based administrator. Throughout her administrative career, she's been responsible for recruiting, staff hiring, supervision, professional development, and evaluation. She also has significant experience working with and transforming what we call turnaround schools, as well as serving in a very diverse district and community. Her previous experience includes serving as an executive director for exceptional student education, executive director of career and technical education, as well as a high school assistant principal, and a middle and high school social studies teacher. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Social Science, a Master's of Science in Educational Leadership, and has completed all of her coursework towards a doctoral degree in educational leadership. And so I present to you for recommendation for our Executive Director of Human Resources, Belinda Pinkston.
Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Cartwright. And I would like to give a special shout out to district staff, particularly Dr. Andy Jones, Dr. Gunlock, and Ms. Conrad, whom I understand have been doing a tremendous amount of work in the HR office since that position became empty in January of this year. So kudos
Yeah, I
to
think
you for-
also Dr. Brown, Kim
I'm
Brown
sorry,
helped a
I
lot.
didn't mean to overlook Dr. Brown. Thank you. Did I miss anyone else? I didn't mean to do that.
The four individuals, along with myself, filling in the gap, but it was important that we fill in temporarily, and we've been blessed with finding our new executive director in human resources, and we're all going to be very pleased that the middle of July that there will be relief. Especially Andy Jones has carried probably 60% to 70% of the workload, especially on the employment and staffing side, and has done that in addition to his present job. So we're grateful to have help coming.
Very good. Yes, we are. And then people can go back to their normal day jobs and work. That'll be good. Any other comments? We welcome all of you, and I guess it's time then to call the roll.
Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog. Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Motion carried.
Yay. Congratulations.
We look forward to your joining a strong administrative team and helping us to move our district forward as we build on the work that Stan has done over the last 6 years and takes us to the next level. So welcome to all of you. Moving on then to resolution number 21. Be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approves CESA 6 contracts for the 2018-19 school year as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
The reason that this one was pulled is I do serve on the CESA 6 Board of Control representing this board, and I don't want there to be any question or concern about conflict of interest. I don't see any. There's no benefit to me personally or professionally, but to keep things open and transparent, I will be voting present on this item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Herzog.
Aye. Oh, excuse me.
No, she's and that went out the window.
Herzog.
Do-over. I'm sorry. Present. I am present.
Herzog, present. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution number 25. Be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve the 2018-19 Most Blessed Sacrament Parish Commercial Property Lease Agreement between the church and the Oshkosh Area School District as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
The reason that this one is pulled is that I have been a longtime member of the Most Blessed Sacrament Parish and its predecessor, St. Peter Catholic Community. And again, while I do not benefit personally or professionally in any way, I just want to make sure that we're open and transparent on this, and I will vote present, and since I practiced last time, I should get it right. I will be voting present on this one. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you. Please call the roll.
Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog.
Present.
Herzog, present.
Woo-hoo!
All right. Thank you. Are there any individually considered resolutions tonight? Are there any requests for future agenda items? Now we're to announcements. This day seemed so far away last July when the Board of Education voted to accept, with regret, the retirement of Stan Mack. And then when it appeared that it would be in everyone's best interests to have Stan stay with us through June 30th of this year, rather than end his career at the end of December, we thought that date was way far in the future, like far, far and away in the next galaxy. But it's here. And Stan has been recognized through Oshkosh for Education at a community-wide event on June 14th and at the district's 25-year and retiree event held earlier this month. But we really wanted to publicly, and as a small group, recognize and celebrate Stan tonight. So Stan, over the last 6 years, we have seen an increasing and friendly atmosphere that's promoted change and innovation by staff in this district. We've seen that in several examples, actually many examples. I'll just give 3 tonight, so we're not here too late because. And those would be things like the Global Studies program at West, Project Search, which impacts our special needs students, and of course the Communities program at North High. It's also been a time of trust building between the Oshkosh community and the Oshkosh School District, and then within the Oshkosh School District itself. So in short, Stan, your 6 years in Oshkosh have left the district in a far better place than when you arrived, allowing your successor, Dr. Cartwright, to build on the initiatives and positive changes of the last 6 years. Personally, and I think I speak for the board, we are most grateful for your dedicated service to the district, its students, and our overall community. And we wish you the very best for a long, healthy, and happy retirement. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Announcements. Mrs. Carlin, and she will be followed by Mr. Peck.
You want first?
No, I got ahead of myself.
Okay. So Stan, I was asked to speak to you on behalf of the All-City PTO, and you knowing our history, of course, I said yes, because we always say yes. And on behalf of Julia, Ann, Jennifer, Lisa, Kelly, and Ann, we would like to say thank you for creating the All-City PTO. You know, every third Thursday, you connected our PTOs, and it was amazing to see what happened when our schools started forming connections, sharing ideas, getting information from you, and creating long-lasting friendships. And that is something that you have instilled in our community, and I'm sure Vicki is going to continue. And it's how I got to know you as well, and it was because of those meetings that I ran for the school board. I saw what was going on, and I was like, I want to be part of that. And so in your honor, we purchased 2 trees on the All-City PTO at Webster and Merrill that will have your name on a plaque on them. And I think you already knew about this, but they wanted to come to a meeting and present it publicly, and thank you for all that you've done. And they regret not being here tonight. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlin. Mr. Peschel.
Stan, we don't want you to leave Oshkosh without getting a notice of your recognition that you can put up on your wall. So we appreciate you greatly. What you've done for our community is just wonderful for what we've become, what you've done for us in the last 6 years. So this is recognition of your achievements, of your dedication to the Oshkosh community and its school district. So thank you for that.
Thank you so
really
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you to the entire school board, but most especially thank you to the entire community and the dedicated leadership team that I've had to work with, including all of our central office, but principals, and then most of all, teachers and support staff. Our teachers working hard to really care about, and who really care about children, as demonstrated with what Vicki and I observed yesterday, another example of that of dedication. But it's been truly a joy to share in this community and to be a party to all of the changes. My career has been, every superintendency I've been in, I've been hired as a fixer. And I have now said no to 3 different districts that have contacted me about fixing because I promised Margaret for at least 6 months.
She's there this time.
And I promised that I would stay out of that business, but it was very tempting. But every job I've taken as superintendency, it's been a district in need, and the reality is that it's a lot of fun to work very hard to make a difference, and this district was a district in need, and being here for 6 years and seeing a change and seeing the joy in the community is truly a pleasure. And thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a great joy to deliver and continue to look forward to going to work every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
Can I speak one quick?
Absolutely.
I want to give the biggest thank you and shout out. I know Stan is awesome, but he's only awesome because he's got the most wonderful wife at home supporting him. So thank you so much for sharing him with us and letting us have him for so long and helping us become what we are today. So through your strength and your family's strength, we are a better community. So thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, thank you.
May I? Oh, sorry.
Anyone else?
I would love to share something. I have not been invited by the citywide PTO or any other organization, but I would love to share a few thoughts. And it really stems from a chance that I had to do an interview at this time with the Northwestern. And this is not a revision, but I felt like I was really excited to talk about Stan's tenure in our time here. And I felt like maybe the piece didn't quite cover it as I would have liked to. And in fact, I talked with Stan just prior to the May 14th event. I was unfortunately unable to make it, but I was very happy to have that conversation with the journalist. So I wanted to share a bit about that, if you'll permit me, because it was a very happy recounting. And so I started in the interview with our interview at a healthcare facility here in Oshkosh. And I remember an elbow one way or another from my partner on the board, and the whisper saying, "This is our guy." And while we felt that this was our guy, you never quite know until you're into it, but that first hunch was right. This is our guy. This was our guy. This is our guy. Right? And I remember one of our board members having notes during the interview of recounting sitting on the front edge of the seat. That's a very good omen, and that was a very good omen. And we all have heard much about the remarkable results that Stan and the team in our district have had with tangible things like buildings and referenda, and programs and communities, and I will miss too many things if I go down that path, but all the tangible, measurable improvements that we've made, the partnerships, the community support, to think of the chamber being shoulder to shoulder with us, just remarkable achievements. So on a broad scale, it's been a beautiful record, right? On a personal scale, I've got to have that same sort of journey with Stan. Some of the things we really want to do, like often enough driving in the car to Milwaukee or Sheboygan, Appleton, to talk to some person or another, some firm or another, and Stan always there and always supportive. The fact that we got to initiate sort of school-wide or grade-wide sailing was a huge personal and I hope community-wide win that could have happened nowhere else. But the sort of the crowning moment as I wound down the interview was this revelation that I had, a moment of clarity in an instant, when I watched, there was a film out about a month ago about Pope Francis. It was Pope Francis, man of his word. So, and in the film, the Pope shares that when we listen fully and attentively and generously, it is an act of great love. And in that moment, I thought, that's Stan, that's it. We don't need to say any more. We don't need to, that's it. Listen, open, fully, presently, with all you've got. And that's really, you were on the big screen, Stan, I guess is what I'm saying. Thank you for that.
I'm honored.
Anyone
It was a
else?
moment of clarity.
Well, some people say that in Wisconsin we can't do anything without food, and so I don't know if that's true or not, but to perpetuate that statement, we do have a cake today, so we can all honor Stan, and I believe there's plenty of cake for everyone in the room. We will be going into executive session in about 10 minutes, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session, but that would start at about 7 o'clock to allow people to have cake and water, because we are on school premises. And the board will reconvene for a short executive session. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
To read the thing.
Well, you gotta
Oh,
read
I
it.
got to read the thing, don't I? Thank you. Executive session, considering the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, Wisconsin statutes. A, holding a private conference to consider the status of an employee contract.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner.
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, we will adjourn to executive session at 7:01 PM.